Looking for a heavy-duty, non-winch bumper for the front of your 2021 plus Ford Bronco? Well, today we're going to be showing you the ARB Zenith non-winch bumper. Stay tuned. Welcome back. And yes, today we're going to be showing you the ARB Zenith non-winch front bumper for the new Ford Bronco. And out of all the bumpers we've seen, this might be one of the nicest looking bumpers we've seen for the Broncos. It's sleek, it's low profile, and it really fits the front end of the vehicle. But you may ask, why would anybody want to put a non-winch bumper on the front of their 4x4? Now, there are many reasons why, and two that we can think of is, well, maybe you just want to have it ready for those jungles, for those concrete jungles as you drive back and forth every day for your daily duties. Or maybe you just want to do some light off-roading and you don't want the added weight or the added expense of a winch. Now, we're not going to hash out all those different reasons. Today, we're just going to show you this bumper and show you how it's installed. Now, for the bumper itself, this thing's definitely very burly for a non-winch bumper. Features big recovery points, and then ARB has large, heavy-duty backing plates that drop in, and it sandwiches everything together to make it very stout. I mean, these points were designed to be pulled on. They also feature jacking points for your high-lift type jacks. ARB has provisions for your factory park sensors, and if you don't have them, like our test mule Base Squatch here, then they have block-off plugs. They also have provisions for your factory-style fog lights. And if you don't have factory fog lights, well, like our base model, well, you can get the aftermarket fog lights for the Broncos and they'll bolt right in. Now, the front of the bumper is wide open, so you have plenty of airflow into your intercooler and your radiator. And if you like extra lighting, ARB includes a 30-inch light bar in the top structure. And that'll help light up the night when things start getting dark. Now, as far as the install is concerned, this one's a little involved. Not that it's tough to do, but there's a lot of pieces and there's a lot of hardware. And there are two bolts in particular that are really hard to get at. So if you've got good solid mechanic skills, this is something that you can do in your driveway. If you're one who doesn't do a lot of bolt together or bolt on stuff, well, it might be best left to your local installer. So let's just get right into our install and show you how it's done. The first thing we need to do is get that factory plastic bumper out of the way. We do have a video covering the how-to on that, so click that link down in the description box. Next up is the lower splash pan, and we will be reinstalling it, so make sure you save it and the hardware. Our Base Squatch didn't come with the radar, so we pulled the cover and set it aside for now. If you do have the radar, the ARB instructions have the how-to for relocating it. Where they're going to reach up behind the frame flanges and remove the little plastic nuts. Then you can pull the O.E Backing Plates out. Then we're going to drop underneath and remove the bolts holding the factory recovery points. Now, as you're doing that, the intercooler will start dropping down, and that's okay. The inlet and outlet hoses will help support it for now. And now it's time to get at those hard to reach bolts I told you about earlier. You want to look on top of the frame rails about 6 inches back from the flanges, and you're going to see a bolt right up there on top on each side. We can reach in there with a wrench and loosen them up. Then you can reach in there with your fingers to unscrew them and kind of wiggle them out. Now, this is going to allow that intercooler top plate to move back far enough for the ARB uprights to go in. Now, you want to grab the ARB backing plates and lay them out, and each one is different. The driver's side uprights have an extra hole or an identification hole in both the right and left-hand side bracket. Now, the passenger side brackets don't have those holes. Then the top plates have a scallop on one side for clearance, and these scallops are going to go to the inside of the frame. We started with the passenger side inner upright and slid it behind the louvers and up against the back side of the frame plate. And that's when we found we needed to remove the louver top bolt to get the upright into position. Once that upright's in, you can put that plastic nut back on to hold it in place and then reinstall that louver top screw. The outer ARB upright goes right into position, and that too is retained with the O.E plastic nuts. Then you have your upright cross bolts, sleeves, spacer washers, and nuts. Once we have those in, we didn't tighten them all the way up. We want to leave them just a little loose. And then we ran into some problems. Now, ARB's instructions say that we're going to install a 6 mil thick washer under the frame top bolts and reinstall them in the top of the frame loosely. We can then take those top support brackets, slide them in over the O.E bolt and washer, and seat it into position. But as you can see, our O.E washer wouldn't fit through the hole in the ARB bracket. Now, we don't know if this is the same on all the Broncos, but this is how it is on ours. To fix that, we cut a slot out the back of the top bracket, and that's going to allow us to install the bolt and washer. Then we can slip those brackets right in through the front and underneath the O.E washer. And with how tight everything is in there, this fix worked very well. Once we had the top brackets in, we tightened up those top bolts until they were just slightly snug, but we could still move the brackets just a little. We then moved on to the bumper prep. Now, one of the things that we did early on was to make some sense of the massive selection of hardware that ARB throws into a great big bag. So we grabbed 3 boxes and separated out all the bolts and nuts according to their size into 2 of the boxes, and then we put all the miscellaneous stuff in the 3rd box. Now, it'd be really cool if ARB started bagging them separately and identifying them, or at least at a minimum, include a very detailed hardware call-out sheet. If you have the O.E or aftermarket fog lights, now's the time to install them into the ARB aluminum brackets on the back of the bumper. Then we install the wing reinforcement brackets. Then we installed all the ARB capture nuts into position according to the ARB instructions. Now, these little ARB capture nuts have a hook on either side. So you want to get one hook in, and then you can use a screwdriver to pop the other side down. Next up is the park sensors. And as mentioned before, we don't have them, so we installed the block-off plugs. The lower pan brackets were then installed. Then we moved on to those big burly recovery brackets. The recovery loops slide right into the main brackets, and then the 3 mounting bolts are installed and they're torqued to spec. Once that's done, we can grab those recovery brackets, set them in the front of the bumper, and then get someone to help you lift it into place and insert the new hardware. Now, we just want to run those down snug, and we want to check the bumper for alignment. We want to make sure it's even from left to right, that we got an even gap on either side, and then it's also square and level to the front of the vehicle. Then we can fully tighten them down. The recovery trim loop then goes in. Then the center pan goes on with the hardware left just a little loose. The lower wing panels go on. And then you can start working your way around, tightening all the hardware that you left loose, including those two top frame bolts. And yes, I did tell you they were a big pain to get at. The O.E plastic splash shield can then be trimmed to fit with the ARB Zenith bumper and then reinstalled. Now we're going to finish up our install by inserting the license plate screw blocks and peeling the protective plastic off the light bar. Now the light bar does need to be wired in, and you can either use the full ARB harness and go up into your cab, or if you have the O.E aux switches, you can wire into that. So there we go, the ARB Zenith non-winch front bumper for the new Ford Bronco. Want more information? Well, hit that link down in the description box below. You got questions? We'll drop those down in the comment section below and we'll answer them. And then you've seen a non-winch bumper install now. Would you like to see the ARB Summit winch bumper install? We'll be doing that video in the future. Thanks for watching today. We'll see you again soon.